afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of UnPACK, Community Empowerment Conversations. We are here at the Community Education Center in West Philadelphia with an exciting panel for discussion this afternoon. We are unpacking for Women History Month, Black Women in Power and Strength. So we welcome you. We would like to introduce our partner, Life After Trauma organization, the founder. Her name is Dr. Clara Whaley-Perkins, and we are excited for you to be here celebrating women and our women of color today. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassandra. We are very happy to be here and to be partnering with the UnPACK and our partners in this venture to serve the community. I'd like to introduce you to our moderator, DeWayne Drummond, and he will be moderating the discussion today.
Thank you, Dr. Clara. Today, I just want to welcome everybody to UnPACK, Women History Month, the Power of Women. And we had some real powerful women here on this panel discussion today, 4 powerful women. And I want to start off with Miss Brenda Mosley. Brenda Mosley is an incredible, inspiring pillar of strength and a survivor of both ACEs and trauma through her lifetime. Ms. Mosley's participation in trauma-informed training inspired major changes for both her personal life and her community activism. Ms. Mosley is currently working on her own nonprofit that will provide community programming under the umbrella of trauma-informed care. Welcome, Ms. Brenda.
Thank you.
Bonita Ortiz. Bonita Ortiz is and always has been a champion of education. In her work through the city of Philadelphia, she sees trauma and needs of family from the perspective of both children and adults. She channeled this knowledge and passion into her nonprofit, Royal Little Sisters, where she has become a lifetime mentor for young women in our community. Welcome, Ms. Ortiz.
Thank you.
Malika Love. Malika Love was one of the first female MCs in Philadelphia, and she had paved the way for women in her industry. Ms. Love is the founder of Hip Hop Library and has spent her entire adulthood serving her community through community outreach programs, connecting people to information and working with at-risk youth. Welcome, Ms. Love.
Thank you.
Rakia Lindsey. Rakia Lindsey is a devoted mother and a lifelong resident of the Mantua community. Ms. Lindsey has worked her way through hardship to create inspiring lifelong opportunity for herself. She is devoted to her development of her children and the family and supporting her community members through raising strong and empowering children. Welcome, Ms. Lindsay.
Thank you.
So, to start off some of our questions this afternoon, and I'm going to start off with Ms. Brenda first. How has COVID affected you and your family work and the expectation that exists for you as a woman?
I think a lot of people, I used to see it as a negative force, because we lost so many people during the COVID. But I see it as a positive factor in my life because it has inspired me to give back some of my experiences growing up as a child in trauma, to reach the community, seeing that, the trauma that has existed during the COVID, being able to recognize my own existence through the people that I see in the community through COVID. I've been able to relate and, feel their pain, but also feel the hope that through my contribution and my compassion towards their pain, the trauma that's going on in their life, and my expectations is to continue on in the community, to serve the community with passion.
Thank you, Ms. Brenda. Ms. Lindsay, the same question.
COVID has affected my work, or me personally, just because it's given me like the understanding of needing to be more internal than external, and more needing to be internal in order to affect the external. COVID is an external thing that is going on in the world, but if you are in control of yourself, and you have yourself in the proper mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual space, you can contend with it a little bit better. And then it's kind of given more purpose to my work because I work directly in the community, and so it's kind of like amped up and ramped up the need for the services that I provide in my daily work, but then amped up and ramped up the need to provide and be an active member in my community. So it's an opportunity to go within and heal throughout.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay. Ms. Ortiz, the same question.
Yes. COVID has affected me, I would say, on a positive note and on a negative note. On a positive note, meeting with being an organization that mentors to our young ladies, it has affected me because we weren't able to meet in person with our young ladies that look forward to the one-on-one in-person meetings. But COVID has affected me on a positive note because although we weren't able to meet with our young ladies, we became creative in utilizing some of the resources such as Zoom to meet and have virtual workshops and do one-on-one mentoring with our young ladies.
Thank you. Ms. Love, the same question.
Well, COVID has affected me. I am currently a children's librarian at a public library, and initially, before COVID, we had patrons coming to the library. However, at this point, we do, in addition to after-school programs, summer enrichment programs, different type of food programs where we serve meals to children inside the library. And at this point, we have to serve grab-and-go meals for kids, and we have to do our programming virtually now, and we have to do curbside pickup and delivery for books and things of that nature. It's worked out in a good way for the Hip Hop Library, which is my library. It's a non-profit organization. It's worked out well for the Hip Hop Library because originally the Hip Hop Library was slated to be a online library platform. So that's worked out well for me in that sense because it didn't change the direction of what we had to do for as far as COVID was concerned. But it made me realize that I had to, just like Ms. Rakia just said, amp up some of the sources, the information, and the programming and opportunities for the children because they really needed it at this point. And it also became hard for our after-school programs and summer enrichment programs because prior to COVID, it was actually intriguing to have children get online and do certain programming and do certain things. And what happened was when COVID kicked in and they had to go to school online, it actually made it hard to get them to come online and be interested in these type of activities and programs.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question. What expectation exists for you that doesn't exist for other populations, races, or agendas? I'm going to ask Ms. Lindsay that question.
I feel like the expectation for a black woman, especially a black woman in America, is to be a magician, if you will. are oftentimes, right, because not all the time, but oftentimes we are literally expected to pull a rabbit out of a hat, like with limited resources, limited accesses. We are still expected to not just survive, but to thrive, and we do it, right? But outside of poverty, it's a little easier to make sure that your children are well taken care of, that they have everything they need, and on top of that, that the quality time is spent. And so I just feel like for black people, black women specifically in certain situations, we got to hold the entire family together. Never, you're not supposed to, you can't like show, or we don't even want to show how we feel about it, right? Because it's hard. It's not an easy thing to do. And so on top of being a magician, you kind of got to be a little secretive, because you don't want your babies to see your struggle. You don't want your babies to see your fight. And so it's an unprecedented amount of strength that we are expected to have and to show, and like I said, we do it, but it's difficult at times.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Miss Brenda the same question.
Let me read this again. What expectations exist? Well, my expectations that don't exist for other populations, race and gender. I have to look at the opportunities that black women, women of color, African Americans are offered to, and the expectations of coming together, being together, working together as one in power, growing off each other's strength, growing off each other's ideas, dreams, and visions. The expectations that we can come together, get together, and work in a unity and a bind throughout this pandemic, throughout the COVID, rely on each other to pull each other up and to love each other with a passion that can overtake anything. But I'm really not looking at this an opportunity that does not exist for other populations or genders or race, but just in the United States itself, we're offered an opportunity of greatness and of oneness. So I guess that would be my expectation.
Thank you, Miss Brenda. I'm going to ask Miss Love the same question.
Expectations. We're expected to be emotional about things, which are women. Men are not usually expected
True.
to be emotional. That's not an expectation of,
True.
In the world. That's an expectation that seems to be pressed upon women. When, in all honesty, in most cases, it's that they're passionate about what it is, they're addressing. So that's an expectation. You're expected to be, like the young lady said, everything. And it doesn't seem like the same pressure is placed upon men, even as head of household. Women are expected to do all of the things that we just spoke about, but it seems like for some reason it's okay. The men just have to work, or the men just have to, do certain things, and it's just expected that in a lot of cases that the women are not equal partners. I guess that's a better way to say it. It's expected to be that way for some reason. And it's not the same with women. Another expectation I can think of is with my coworkers that live, I'm in a county, so I'm in and my coworkers are further out in the county, and they expected that we got the vaccine. They expected that we got tests in our areas. They just expected that was the case, and not even knowing that not at all. In our parts of that, particular area, that's not the case. So it was actually interesting to find out that it was just expected that we were getting the same treatment as others, meaning in different people in other communities in rural counties than people that come closer to the city with predominantly African Americans in their community. And that we didn't meet that expectation. Still now, to this day, there's a difference in the way we receive services and information and opportunities.
Thank you, Ms. Love. Ms. Ortiz, the same question.
Yes. So my answer is similar in some degree. I feel as though as a woman, particularly a black woman, that the expectation is for us to be a superwoman, a person that handles everything, endures everything, conquers everything, being the role model of the family, teaching the children, making sacrifices for the children, enduring it all through the trauma, all of the things that come with it that's associated with trying to raise a black child in today's society. I also think that there's expectation as a race to not be as intelligent or on the same level as our counterparts. I think that there's expectation that because we don't have the resources that is offered and the opportunities that are offered, that it's expected that we're just dumbing down and we can't relate and progress and move up through different situations. So the expectation is, okay, well, if you don't know, you can't do better if you don't know better. And that stigma, because of that stigma that's placed on us as a race, hinders us from expecting to be great. How can you expect to be great when no one is teaching you and role modeling that greatness to you? So for me, it's a two-part.
Thank you. That was a lot to soak in. Like, especially me being a man, I appreciate sitting at this table with a lot of powerful women. And I want to ask Dr. Clara, can you recap on this conversation that we just had, please?
As I was listening to the women, I heard several things. One, that Black women are resourceful, and others expect us to be resourceful, and somehow we do find ways to be resourceful with very little resources at times. And the thing that came to my mind as I was thinking about some of the other comments is, and I have this question for the panel, is how have you confronted or dealt with the expectations that others have for you? How is that, how have you, because I'm really thinking about empowerment and, having agency and sometimes under stress, it starts to dwindle. It starts to become, are those less available to us? So I was wondering, how do you confront and deal with some of these expectations, and who have you relied on for support? And what would you say has been the importance of these relationships to your success? I know that's a lot because I was thinking about a lot of different things. So pick whatever works for you that you would like to respond to. Panel, please.
The expectations that was placed, sometimes I look at expectations as being unrealistic, but working with a community and working in the community and doing the type of work that I do, which is in community engagement, and the way I deal with it is I have to reflect back on where I come from and how I've come through it. And, sometimes I can put unrealistic expectations on myself to overcome situations and situations, working with people, looking at me to do certain things that I may not be able to do at that point, but I rely on the people that I work with. I ask, I'm not ashamed to ask for help. Help is a familiar word with me. So when people expect me to do certain things that I feel as though I might not be able to handle at that point, I reach out and ask for help. I don't know it all, and I don't ever want to get to the point where I think I know it all, but trying to live up to expectations of my own. I have done that by prayer, through meditation, and that expectations take you through a whole lot, and how it has helped me is to overcome, childlike experiences, and that's kind of like a lot to wrap your mind around when you're trying to live up to other people's expectations.
Thank you, Ms. Brenda. Ms. Ortiz?
Yes. For me, since I spoke about the expectation of education, for me, I try to, I am an overachiever, and I feel as though having that quality has allowed me to be very studious in attending school and college, graduating with honors, and exemplifying the studious behaviors not only to my children but also to the young ladies that I mentor. Education, they know, is very, 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 very much a priority for me, and I think that in order to help our generation, you have to set the example. I can't expect them to attain A's and B's if I did not model that for them. Not putting unrealistic expectations on our children, but also giving them the resources that can enhance them and help them, providing tutoring, things of that nature to our young kids that are struggling with a subject matter. As far as education goes as well, going beyond, stepping outside of the normal expectations of just, getting a high school diploma, going to college, going back to college, consistently trying to enhance my skills and my knowledge so that I can reach back and help another person, whether it's educational-wise or just giving advice. I think, again, that a lot of the expectations on, I want to say, quote, dumbing down is because we don't educate our children on all different topic matters. And I think it's important to have the knowledge and then share the knowledge. As far as the stresses of referring to being a superwoman or a super mom or a super person, I think how I handle that is self-care. Taking the time out to know that I cannot allow the stresses of every day to weigh me down. So in order for me to be as productive and effective for others, I have to take the time out to take a vacation, to take a mental health day, to do a pampering day, just a relaxation day. And that's how I think that you can rejuvenate, meditate, and get back on track.
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz. Ms. Love?
One way is prayer. Prayer always helps. Stop and pray. Sometimes it just takes that. Just like the young lady said, vacations. I have to take a vacation. It's a must to treat myself well. As far as people expecting you to be emotional as a woman, when you come upon those type of situations, then you show them that that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? You show them that that's not the case. You don't, you're not being emotional about something. You're actually being passionate about what it is that they see. So if you show them, similar to what the young lady said, you lead by example. That's also something else that you should do. And also investing in the children, the future, and showing them the proper way, and investing in them equally. Some have tendencies to, have more interest in the girls instead of the boys, and vice versa. But they need to know that they're invested in equally, and the qualities are equal.
Thank you, Ms. Love. Ms. Lindsay?
For my specific scenario, like the expectation of, again, being Superwoman, pulling a rabbit out of the hat, you're resourceful because you need to be resourceful, but I feel like my way of confronting it is, number one, prioritizing what has to be done, what, is essential, and then especially if the expectation is coming from an external force, being okay to say, like, no, I can't do that, like knowing what my capacity is and sticking to it, like, this is what I'm capable of, and because I have this, and this also going on, and I can do this for you, but maybe not the rest, and being okay with that, like not beating myself up or allowing anybody else to beat me up because I didn't meet your expectation. And that's another part of self-care, like having the grace within yourself to be you, to know what you can do, and not let anybody else make you feel bad because you couldn't do what they expected you to do, because then the question is, well, why couldn't you do it?
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay. Dr. Clara?
So, was there a question, or am I just chiming in on
You can
what
chime
the
in,
group was saying?
Doctor, please.
Um, what I'm hearing that it's really important to stay grounded and to set boundaries from time to time. To set boundaries with yourself and to set boundaries with other people. And those boundaries, I guess, in terms of self-care, is like knowing when you need to unplug, knowing when you need to rest, and doing that because when you don't do that, it just reminds me of that scenario on the airplane. You have to take care of your, when the mask drops, you put on yours first, and before you start putting on the mask on others, the air on others, because if you're not in good shape and you're losing ground, then you're not going to be able to be present for whatever happens next. So I really appreciated the comments of the panel in terms of the different ways that they're taking care of themselves and the expectations that, yes, or what I heard is that there are high expectations for me. I have high expectations for myself. And there are times when I'm just going to not do that because I need to not do that. I need to not put that on myself.
So our next question, to what do you contribute to your success? I'm going to ask Ms. Lindsay that question first.
I attribute my success to the Most High. I have a very strong faith and, a very strong spirituality. And so for me, success is not necessarily something that's manifested in material things without the spiritual relationship, right? Like, so I can only be as successful as my understanding of myself, my connection with my Creator, and then from that comes all the other blessings of life. And so that's what success is to me.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay. Ms. Love?
Definitely my Creator. There's no question about that. But I also I associated with my mother, and she's a strong force in my life, and some family members that helped raise me. And I attributed to some of the values that they instilled in me. I contributed to my persistency and my consistency and my desire to want to be better, consistently wanting to become better and be a better person. So that's what I contributed to.
Thank you, Ms. Love. Ms. Ortiz?
I also attribute my success first to God because He has given me the skills and the talents to be able to do the things that I do. He has also blessed me with a mother who has served as a role model in my life, and also my family and friends who have always encouraged me and supported me. Without this support mechanism, I think success would look a little different for me. But because I have a strong a circle of supportive friends and family, it definitely has contributed to my success.
Thank you. Ms. Brenda?
I'm going to continue to repeat. I contribute my success to God, my spiritual connection, but also being able to overcome, and as a child growing up, overcomer and a survivor of ACEs, God allowed me to accept that I was not the cause of my upbringing and the things that happened to me, encouraged me as a child growing up. And it had not been for different programs, 12-step programs. I contribute my success mainly to God, but also the people that he put in my path to guide me along the way, to help me to recover, to help me to heal, to help me to thrive, and to be a better person. So, yes, I contribute to my success to God, the power, my spiritual connection to the people he put in my path, but also I need to say my children,
God is good all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the healing journey. What do you understand your healing journey to mean, and what is its relationship to your success? Sorry, I'm going to repeat that one more time. What do you understand your healing journey to mean, and what is its relationship to your success? I'm going to ask Miss Brenda.
My healing journey began, and I repeat that, recognizing and understanding trauma, where I came from in life, being once again a survivor of ACEs. My healing, began when I was able to get over the guilt, the shame, the remorse, the degradation of my life, placing everything in its perspective. It also allowed me to, once I addressed those issues, to get better and overcome those emotional setbacks, becoming a stronger individual. I went back to school, and I contribute to accepting the fact that I am an ACE survivor, going back to school at the age of 38, 39 as a ninth grade dropout, achieving my GED, my LPN, Associate's Degree in Culture and Culture Science and Technology, my RN degree, my LPN, let me not forget that, my RN degree, Associate's, Bachelor's, and one class from my Master's, and worked in the field of nursing for 25 years. So, my healing began when I was able to overcome and recognize that I am a survivor of ACEs, the trauma, the guilt, the remorse, and all that it placed there, but to begin to live. So my healing is a continuous journey, going through the trauma-informed program. That really helped me to recognize why I did the things I did as a child. I'm one of the typical particles of trauma-informed, so my healing continues, still today throughout all of the process and what we're going through today. I'm still healing.
Thank you, Miss Brenda. Miss Love, same question.
Understanding my healing begins with I have numerous losses, tragically, in my life, and that's an ongoing process of making their lives have a purpose to me with that. In addition to understanding that I want to live with a purpose, not just for fame, and I want to do things always with a purpose and not just about me. So it helps me heal when I have pain, when I help and do for others. So that's my healing journey, and I consistently have done and will continue to do that to heal.
Thank you. Ms. Lindsay?
I understand my healing journey to mean that, that life is a series of lessons, and that as long as you are living, the expectation is growth. And so I understand that I am constantly transitioning and transforming myself in a journey back to self. And it's, again, not an external thing. It's continuously going within, learning who you are, and giving myself the freedom to be there unapologetically. And with relationship to my success in doing this, I also teach my child and other children and anybody else who that I come in contact with, who cares to see, that it's okay to be you, and and in being yourself, you are in your most authentic form, and that's the most healed that you can be. It's the freest feeling that you could have, and that's where joy and true peace is going to come from.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Ortiz?
Yes. The healing journey for me, I can summarize in one word: acceptance. Once I realized that I had to accept myself for who I am and not be conformed to what people think of me or how people view me, knowing that people do not define who I am. Once I was able to accept that and all of the flaws or whatever that people may feel as though, or I may feel as though about myself, once I learned that, my self-esteem increased. And when your self-esteem increases, it also helps with your self-confidence, your self-worth, your self-love. And for me, how that success looks in my relationship is through my young ladies that I mentor, because I realized that not only did I have that issue of a low self-esteem at one point, but I see that it exists in a lot of our young girls. And I feel as though that if I can just help them realize that you are beautiful, you are magnificent, you are smart, teach those impact, give them the positive words and not the negativity that oftentimes they hear, it will help them. And that's how I look at my success through my young ladies, or continue the success with self-esteem.
Thank you so much. Dr. Clara, can you recap on this conversation that we just had?
So what I'm hearing is that our panel has experienced a great deal of support, and they achieve their success through prayer or their spiritual life, as well as through their work. So this is kind of like an aside question. It's not an individual question. It's more like a community. It's looking out at the community of Black women. And I was wondering what the panel thought of how we can better support each other. Because, not all of us have the same opportunities to get the kind of resources and support we need. And then in everyday situations, it seems to me that we could do a better job of supporting each other than we do. So I was just wondering what the panel thought of that, and how you would see that, how we can do a better job at that.
Ms. Lindsay?
I think just genuinely extending ourselves to each other, right? Like getting out of the way. 'Cause I almost wanted to say treating other people the way you want to be treated, but in all actuality, you have to have an acknowledgement that how you might want to be treated is not how someone else wants to be treated. And so removing yourself and your interactions with other people in order to really see into what it is that they need and be genuinely willing to give that to them, without expectation, without judgment, without any of the negative, things that pack things on and weigh things down and cause conflict. Just a genuine, I'm here for you. What do you need from me? And if I can give it to you or in some way connect you to it, do it without wanting anything in return or anything. Just, I'm here, sister. What can I do?
Thank you. Ms. Ortiz?
I would say being my brother and my sister's keeper. And with that, sharing resources, sharing knowledge, helping each other, being genuine, as she said, to each other without judging someone's situation. I think that we just need to learn how to empower and embrace each other so that we can be a better culture as a whole.
Thank you. Ms. Love?
Just like the young lady said, empower, embrace one another, be genuine, reach out to each other, share whatever it is that you have, give whatever it is that you have to your brother and sister without expectation from it, and look for them to do it, because or ask, because sometimes you just don't know, and people can't really judge. People have a tendency of judging you by your appearance, but if you talk to one another, communicate with each other, and be there for one another, I think it'll make a lot of difference, genuinely, just like these other women just said.
Thank you, Ms. Love. Ms. Brenda?
The community, through trauma informing, and I mention that quite a bit because that's what really saved me and gave me my life back after my daughter passed away. And through my organization, we're actually, the community, NKCDC, is actually supporting me to launch a program called A Mother's Pain. And that will address a lot of areas, not just from physical loss, but mothers that's, going through trauma themselves, children. We're also offering CBH counseling for mental health, areas to help women of color, all walks of women that feel as though they don't have anyone to support them, to offer them support in areas, offer them the opportunity to participate in with themselves, offer resources, offer available counseling. So that's one of the initial ones that I found is a personal one that will enable a lot of women to come together, in the community. And A Mother's Pain, it covers a lot, coming through the COVID, we've lost a lot, but we've gained. And those who've gained and gotten through are, all coming together to help those who are still in pain so they can heal from the trauma, the traumatic events, not just now, but throughout their life. So coming together and empowering one another. So.
Thank you, Ms. Brenda. Dr. Clara, is there any other questions or any other thoughts?
So I guess what I was looking for was, a little bit something more concrete. I did hear like being there for each other is a way of supporting. And so I was thinking of things like validating, when you see, sometimes it's hard for us to just, give each other the credit at the moment that is due, or just validating or affirming, like you did a good job. It's just small things that actually really help in an everyday situation. You never know how much that meant to someone to hear in their struggle that they've done a good job because you just happen to be there present and witness how they took care of that, what was going on with their children. So, if they're, having a conflict or not doing well at the moment. But I do think these small ways do help. So in addition to being there for each other and offering knowledge and support, and I do think these everyday offerings of care and hope and affirming each other is something that we can begin to practice more liberally with each other. I was wondering what the panel thought about that idea, or those ideas.
Absolutely.
Ms. Love?
Absolutely. Recognizing and affirming who they are, that is very important. Makes you feel good when someone does it for you, so there's nothing wrong with sharing that with someone else.
Ms. Brenda?
And with that, yes, I have a group of women that we work together, with NKCDC, CDCR, and we do that every day. It makes you feel good about yourself. It makes you feel cared about, thought about, to encourage one another, to lift each other up. Just that affirmative that, and ask. We always do a check-in with each other to find out how we feel, to see where we at, to respect that space, to honor that space, and that makes you feel a part of. When you feel a part of something, you can do your best. You can do your best.
Thank you. Ms. Lindsay?
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Validation is important, affirmation is important, and encouragement is important, because sometimes somebody didn't do their best or didn't meet the, expectation that they had from themselves. And so it goes a long way just to say, girl, it's cool, you got this next time, right? Like, so yeah, being very vocal. I think one of the ladies up here said, communicating, but yeah, using our voices to give encouragement and empowerment to each other go a very long way.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Ms. Ortiz?
I agree. I also think that in addition to validating and affirming, to be accepting of people, of where they are. Everyone is not on the same platform as you, but to me, that also helps when a person can feel that they can be themselves around you. They're comfortable in the skin that they're in. That's so important. I know that for our young ladies, we do affirmations all the time. We constantly tell them, you're beautiful, you're loved. Even showing love. Some people do not know how to love because of the trauma that they may have endured as a young child or whatever. But just showing love, giving somebody a hug, a handshake, a smile can go a long way. So yes, I agree 100%.
Thank you. Doctor, anything else?
No, I think that, yeah, the panel did, they're doing their job so well. I do thank you and appreciate you.
Thinking about throat of a black woman, what does the narrative leave out? What does that mean to you? Miss Lindsay?
What's left out of our narrative? I don't know. I feel like there's so many stories to who we are as black women. Maybe that we are all individuals, right? Like there is not one single way to be a black woman. Everybody's different. We are all, divinely and uniquely created. And so it's not one way to be a black woman. It's I'm my own black woman. You're your own black woman. There's 4 different black women on this panel. We got 5 if we, bring in Dr. Clara. And we are each our own individual people. And so just the idea that you can even look at us through one scope is a narrative that we should break, because everybody's different. And that's what it means to me, like breaking out and allowing us to live in our own individual spaces and our own individual lanes and be great and amazing in those spaces without being lumped together as one thing.
Thank you. Ms. Love?
I believe that one thing that's left out is that a strong black woman can be rich and poor. they're not actually recognized for their financial status. So you can be rich and actually not be a strong black woman, and you can be poor and be an extremely strong black woman. So that's something that I think that they leave out. It seems like in a lot of cases they refer to strong black women as poor and fighting their way through something. A few things that I've read, and that's not the case. We're not always fighting. That's not what makes us strong. That it's about a fight consistently.
Thank you. Ms. Ortiz?
Well, I would say that the one thing that I felt like was left out is that it fell to, first of all, I just think it's a false statement. Because when you say strong black woman, that makes people feel like, you know, we can endure everything, that we don't have the same sensitiveness. We can just, you know, conquer it all no matter what the pain is. And that to be a strong woman, you have to have all these characteristics. And I think that it's not true because based on the color of our skin, we do encounter heartaches and a lot of things that a lot of other cultures have not experienced. And that doesn't make us strong because we have endured and we have overcame those things. I think that we have to realize that we tend to, behind clothes, we tend to wear masks, in other words. We put the mask on, and that's what I look at this as. We have this mask to portray to the world that, hey, I'm a strong black woman, I could do this, I could do that, I can handle it, and really deep down inside, we're hurting, we're in pain, we're crying. So I think it gives a false sense to that word of being a strong black woman.
Thank you. Ms. Brenda?
Yes, I think Ms. Ortiz mentioned the word superwoman when she first, she was speaking. And I think also when they say strong black women, not only they look at us as strong and caregivers, caretakers, they look at us as superwomen. But out of all of what they've mentioned and what we do, it's never mentioned about self-care. And I also heard Ms. Ortiz mention self-care. We can care for everybody. We do for everybody. I heard that saying, black women don't do what they want to do, but they do what they have to do. And so they do. They look at us always doing for others instead of doing for ourselves individually. So if it's a narrative that's left out, it's that self-care part, that individuality of taking care of self, because they look at us as always taking care of others first and leaving ourselves out.
Thank you. Our next question. Who are you when no one is looking? People project things onto you as a strong black woman. What would you want people to know outside of that? What do you want to show people more of? Ms. Love.
Today I can say I am the same person when no one else is looking. There's, other than comfortable, or, maybe a little more comfortable than I would be as far as I may get relaxed when I'm in my home setting. But today I can say that I'm the same person. And that took work. And that was a process. So today I can say that. And as far as what people project on black women and what I want people to know outside of that is that strong black women need to be protected in their families, in their communities, even in their workspace, so they can continue to do the work that they do amongst their families and their communities, and in their workspaces, and they need to feel safe and not preyed upon, especially nowadays. There needs to be something put in place to honor and protect our black women.
Thank you. Ms.
Yeah.
Ortiz?
I would say that that I am ambitious, and I am a achiever, overcomer. Those are the things that when no one is looking, that I want them to say or feel about me. Goal-oriented. The things that I think that people portray or have as far as being a strong woman is that, you know, we're resistance to being vulnerable. You know, we don't have that intense drive to be successful, that we have limited resources, and that we feel obligated to, you know, to help others and sacrifice, and, you know, also that we portray that image of strength, which we are strong, but these are some things that I think that gives that negative connotation to being a strong black woman.
Thank you. Ms. Lindsay?
When no one is looking, I'm actually quiet. I'm a thinker, and I can sometimes be very, very insecure. That being an overachiever and being hard on myself is because sometimes I'm comparing myself to what the world thinks that I should be. And it kind of puts you in like this space of confusion, like, how do I achieve this? How do I attain that? But then, you know, you got to go out into the world, and because you can't be thrown to the wolves, you have to stand in confidence. You have to stand in dignity, and you have to sometimes put on that facade, like, I got this. What they say, fake it till you make it. But it helps, right? Like it gets you through the day. And it also, again, because you're faking it until you make it, it pushes you closer and closer to actually being in that space. But that's when no one's looking. What is projected? What would you want people to know outside of it? Outside of the projections onto strong black women, I think what I would most like people to know is that black women need black men. And we love black men and we support black men because a lot of times, like, the strong black woman gets the bad rep of also being an expletive, right? Like, you know, she don't need no man. She got it on her. No, like we love black men. We need black men, and we support them. And that is actually my answer to the next question. What I want to show more people, that black men and black women can work together to create, you know, the force that is this panel, right? That is us. None of us existed without the connection of a man and a woman, and so, you know, I want to show more of our support for each other as we, you know, go out into the future.
Thank you. Miss Brenda?
Okay. Well, you know, I heard from Ms. Love. She mentioned that when people, she's the same all the way around, and I'm somewhat the same. When you see me now, you see me at home. You know, I'm basically, it gets me a little while to get started. And so once I get started, you know, I'm well on my way. But usually I'm the same person at home. You see, I'm loving, I'm caring, I'm compassionate. You know, I love people, and people know that about me. And that's a projection too. People know that I'm loving and I'm caring, and I love people to know that about me. And there's also a vulnerable side of me also. And you know, and I remain vulnerable because I feel as though if I remain vulnerable, I remain teachable. So that's a projection that people can take of me, that I remain teachable, that I'm vulnerable.
Thank you, Ms. Brenda. Dr. Clara, can you chime in on this discussion, please?
Yes, as I was listening to the panel, what struck me is that there is this perception about who we are that is constant, and there's a constant media. It's in social media, it's in movies as in literature. It's like there's a projection about who we are. And some of it, some of it has a kernel of truth. But I do think what gets missed oftentimes in these, used to be called them stereotypes or um, projections of Black women, is that our humanity gets overlooked. Is something about, yeah, I do think that we have a very deep humanity for ourselves, for our children, and for each other. And that I think is not seen readily because, because the projection of a strong Black woman, you don't need anyone. You're not as connected to, you're just trying to like make your own thing happen. And you've overcome a lot of, well, the panel has already said it. It's like you can overcome, you can do this, you can do that. But there is a deep humanity amongst Black women that I do think sometimes is overlooked, is not seen. And I was just wondering what the panel thinks about that idea.
Miss Brenda?
Um, I can go. I believe that. Um, well, for some reason, it just like went over my head, but I was so in deep in listening. Um, mm,
We could go to Miss
yes,
Ortiz.
please.
Want to go, Miss Ortiz?
I agree that there is a deep humanity in Black women, and I think that's what is, like you said, is overlooked. That in spite of all of the, I guess it may sound like an accolade for some, to say, "Oh, you're a strong Black woman." Some people may think it's very complimentary, but it could have a different connotation, a different form. So, there are some feelings that we have that, is not seen. We can be, Steph spoke about, the man and the woman, that a woman can be submissive in the form of, working together in partnership with the Black man and raising a home. And, sometimes they, you hear, oh, the, Black women, they just talk too much, or they're too, want to be too much like the man in the relationship. And I think that's not true. I think if they dive deeper into what our emotions is and what things stimulate us, and like we said, affirming us and complimenting us, all those things are the positive things that I think is not being projected into women. So I agree with you 100%.
Miss Love?
I agree. I disagree. Go to Mr. I disagree with the humanity is an expectation of African American women and the strong Black women. And in some cases it's unfair, but we managed to figure out a way to work it out, and I think that's where a lot of it stems from, in all honesty. So yes, I do agree.
Miss Lindsay?
I agree wholeheartedly that we are a deeply humane people. It actually put me in the mind back to spirit, right? Father God, Mother Earth, and with that idea, right, the Black woman being the birth mother of the earth. How could we not have that deep rooted humanity if literally life came through us? And so that's, you hit the what they say, the nail on the head. Absolutely.
Dr. Clara? Do you have any other
Um,
thoughts?
well, I think that's where our compassion comes from, our ability to be empathetic and it kind of wraps up everything that we've been talking about. We have empathy for ourselves, we have empathy for others, we have compassion for ourselves, we give compassion to others. And that is a measure of our humanity. If when we strip back everything, it also can be a source of our strength. So that's the last thought that I have on that at this moment, anyway.
give us our final thought for this panel discussion, please?
What I think that the panel did a wonderful job of kind of unpacking who successful Black women, how to think about successful Black women, how to relate to them, and how we see ourselves. And I think that was an important, that was the importance of what came out of this, is that we had a vision of ourselves. We have a vision for our children. And that is, and that's one of the driving forces in the life of Black women. And so I think we've done a great job. I applaud the panel doing a great job of unpacking that. And, at the very last minute, showing our vulnerability as something, as a part of our strength as well.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Clara. One thing I have learned is from Dr. Maya Angelou, and she had a poem called I Have Learned. And one thing that I have learned, I got to learn a little bit more about Black women, because we have a panel of Black women up here, which are women of virtue. Even you, Dr. Clara, y'all are women of virtue. And when it comes down to a whole lot of Black women has been carrying the load for the Black community for a very, very long time. And I tell all 5 of y'all, I appreciate you all from the bottom of my heart. And I'm glad that you sat at the table with this Black man this afternoon so he can get some learning and education in his system. So I'd like to thank you all. Also, I just want to say that this was a very, very good conversation. And we will be taking a little pause before we go to our next panel discussion. And I just want to tell everybody with this UnPACK panel discussion, our partners and our supporters, LATO, Mill Creek Community Partnership, PCRadioLive.com, and We Embrace Fatherhood. So I'm just asking our audience just to hold on, sit tight as we take this pause, because we have a youth panel discussion that is going to be very, very powerful. So I'd just like to commend you young ladies again, and Doctor, and thank everybody for listening and tuning into UnPACK Women History Month, The Power of Women. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Dr. Clara.
Thank you, Dr. Claire.
Thank you, Dr. Claire.
I used to be with a lot of people in this building because this building is like a big space. And so we used to just pay, learn history or art a lot. It used to keep youth out of trouble too. You know, a lot of people has different ways of how they want the building. I just want the building open to keep the youth out of trouble. For it to be open by Mill Creek once again, so it can open up like for an art center. It should be used just for Mill Creek, because Mill Creek used it for a good purpose.
Yo, what's the deal, y'all? It's your boy QDZ.
What up, everybody? I'm Fatine.
And I'm AJ.
And we're Kendrick the Family Soul.
What up, world? It's your boy, Young Steph.
Hey, yo, it's mobbing. You know what time it is. It's your boy, Tone Trump.
What's going on, y'all? It's Chill Moody, West Philadelphia's own, Mr. Nice Things himself.
You already know you rocking with the #1 internet radio station.
On PC Radio Live.
PCRadioLive.com. The livest place in the world. PC Radio Live, man. If you ain't up on this, you ain't up on nothing, man. Check us out every day. 24 hours they streaming. New music, new interviews, real niggas, beautiful women. What more can you ask for? If they ain't hating, you ain't winning. Let's win. PC Radio Live.
Welcome to UnPACK, Women's History Month, Women of Power. This is our youth discussion. So I'm going to ask our youth to introduce themselves. Please tell us your name, your age, and what school you attend.
My name is Diamond Thomas Dean. I am in 11th grade, and I attend Simon Grant's Mystery Charter.
Welcome to UnPACK.
My name is Zanal Williams. I'm 9. And I go to Haran Bay Charter School.
Welcome to UnPACK.
My name is Zion, and I go to Conestoga High School in 9th grade.
Welcome to UnPACK.
My name is Uriel Sakona, and I go to Wesley High, and I'm 15 years old.
Welcome to UnPACK. So tell us about a woman who has significantly impacted your life. Go ahead.
A woman that, so I always have to say my mom, my stepmom, and my mom, and like my teachers, they impact my life because they tell me, because women, we get like bullied and body shamed. They tell me to like keep going and stuff like that, and don't stop and don't listen to like the bullying. Mm-hmm. So those are the people that help me with my life.
Thank you. You can go.
One woman that has really impacted my life in a great way would be my grandmother, and everything that she does in the community just really inspires me to keep going.
My mom impacted my life because no matter the obstacle or the challenges, she gets past it.
My grandma impacted my life because she always taught me no matter what, just keep going.
Miss Love, do you have a question for our youth panelists?
I'm just curious. How have you guys, how have things changed for you during the COVID with your friends and family? Do you still communicate with your friends in school? I'm just curious about that.
A lot has changed, but yes, I do keep in contact with my friends and most of the time my family members.
Yes, I keep in touch with my friends. I talk to them every day.
I would say that most of my friends I keep in contact with, and some of my family, yeah. So I lost some friends, and I gained some friends, so I talk to my new friends, and I meet up with them sometimes, but we safely and stuff, yeah.
Miss Ortiz, do you have a question for the youth?
Yes. My question is, when you speak of self-esteem, how would you view or how would you rate your self-esteem?
Personally, oh, okay. I think my self-esteem's kind of high, to be honest. Sometimes it's a little too high, but it's high. Why? I guess I would say why, because of all the people in my life who are really like upholding me and just positively affecting me.
My self-esteem is like she said, high and stuff like that, because I have confidence now. I used to not have confidence, but now I do. And yeah.
Ms. Ortiz, can you repeat that question?
Sure. The question is, how do you rate your self-esteem and why?
If I could rate my self-esteem on a scale from 1 to 10, I would say a 10 because I have a lot of people in my background supporting me.
If I could rate my self-esteem, it will be a 10 because I have the very little sisters that helps me and stuff like that.
Thank you. What do you expect a woman to be? What expectations are unfairly placed on women? Anybody?
The stuff that's placed on women, like we supposed to be housewives and stuff like that. We supposed to stay home. We can't do what men do. But I feel like we're like strong. We could, if we want to run for president, we can. I'm waiting to see a black lady run for president. And yeah.
I would say personally my impact and what I think of women would be that they're very strong and independent people that can do whenever they want, whatever they want. But I feel like society has really been like confining women into this, like Uriel said, this really conformative space in which they have to do what the man says when the man says.
I would say a woman is supposed to be a leader.
It's all right. It's all right. Ms. Love, do you have a question for the youth?
This is This is Women's History Month. What does Women's History Month mean to you?
It means to me all the impact and important stuff that women do in this world today.
Doing good. You're doing fine.
Yes. What does Women's History Month mean to you?
It's okay. It's all right. It's okay. It's all right, Zana. We'll come back to
What does
the
Women's
Go ahead.
History Month mean to you?
Yeah.
Women's History Month means to me, like how you guys are supporting her, that's what Women's History Month means to me.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you. That's what it's about.
Women's History Month to me is like what like women conquered throughout the years. We conquered abuse from men and stuff like that. Yeah.
I have another question. How do you uplift girls and women around you? You kind of just did it. So if y'all want to like verbally say it, say it.
Oh, this one is a good one. So you can tell them that it's gonna be okay, and like you look pretty today. Tell them, look in the mirror and say I love you, and I love myself. I love how I look, and let's see. You can be like, if they're crying, like what she was doing, you can be like, it's okay, and we love you. You're doing a good job, and keep on going.
Like Uriel said, just really like uplifting women and, you know, making sure that they have everything they need to like profit in life and to like sustain themselves and make sure they're doing okay.
Giving them the power and the strength that they need.
Yes,
That's a good one.
That's a good one. Ms. Ortiz, do you have a question for the youth?
Yes. I want to know, what is your biggest challenge being a teen or young female?
I would have to say like keeping up with like the trends and stuff like that. If you're like not keeping up with the trends, you're not popular at like my high school and stuff like that. And it's hard because you want to do your own thing, but society makes it that you want to do what other people do. Like you want to get your mouth done, like put implants in you and stuff like that.
Like Uriel said, it's kind of hard to like fit in with people in high school now, and just realizing who's your friend and who's here to hurt you more than help you.
That's a good one.
I would say being yourself, because nowadays you have people bullying and people getting killed because of bullying.
That's a good one too.
Could you ask the question one more time?
Sure.
Yes. How do you uplift girls and women around you?
Well, basically, my friend was going through a tough time with her family, and I helped her. I said it's gonna be okay. Don't worry about it. Y'all get up, and y'all do your thing one day.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Love, you have a question for the girls, young ladies?
How do you view, how do you handle social media today? Are you on it? And how do you handle it? Because it seems like it could be very hard for teens at times with social media. And this is a three-part question. Have you had any negative interaction on social media?
I have social media, and the way I handle it is by really not getting on it. And I have had multiple encounters with negative energy coming my way, but what I do is I let it go in one ear and go out the other.
That's good.
I have social media. I have not had to deal with any hate comments, and if I did, I'll just ignore it.
All right, that's a good one too.
I do have social media, but like she said, you just have to ignore it, and yeah, just like it doesn't matter.
I have social media, and I'm not gonna lie, I be on there a lot. I be on the phone a lot, but I don't really get hate comments. People put me in a group chat to like fight with them and stuff like that, but I blocked them. So yeah, I blocked the haters.
Yeah, block them.
Block
Block them.
the haters. That's right.
Ms. Ortiz, do you have a question
Yes.
for the youth?
I would like to know if you could give one word of advice to your fellow peer, what would it be?
The advice that I would give to one of my self peers is to have self-confidence and self-worth and self-love.
All right.
Just love yourself and just do whatever. It doesn't matter as long as you doesn't get in trouble.
That's right.
And yeah, just go ahead and go for it.
That's right.
Don't be a follower, be a leader.
I love that one.
Like all of these beautiful women just said, just like being yourself and not worrying about what other people are saying, and just wondering what they're talking about you and whatever. It just doesn't matter.
Okay, I have a question. What stories are you telling yourself about who you are and what you are capable of doing?
The stories that I tell myself is that I'm able to do anything that a male can do. I am strong, I am confident, and I am intelligent.
Just like she said, just your own leader, and you're intelligent, have self-confidence.
Is there something, a topic, or any type of discussion that you would like to just talk about today? Maybe something, whether it be school related, personal, friends, peers, peer pressure, any type of things that you young ladies maybe or may have experienced or may think you may experience as you see your friends and things of that nature go through. I know that there's a big light on crime, you know, amongst youth. A lot of our youth are being murdered and things of that nature. What is your take on that? Like, how do you feel? Do you feel safe in your community? What is your...
My take on this topic is very serious because at the moment I am actually doing an article on this piece.
Awesome.
It's serious because, like, you don't know today, tomorrow you can get killed, and you just have to be safe out here.
My take on this topic, like they said, is it's very serious and it's something we need to talk about, and we need to make people aware of what's going on.
And give me some suggestions that you would, like, or recommendations that you would like to expand on that.
Well, you know, we should, like, talk about how Black Lives Matter and how people are being killed daily and stuff. And, you know, we just need to, like, settings like this is where we need to talk about it most.
Thank you.
I would say I have like good people. I have like good people to keep me safe and stuff like that. I have like my mom, and I have a good neighborhood. But I will say that we need to really focus on like getting like don't like some kids at my school vape and stuff like that, and like vaping is really bad for you. And like, but they see like their parents doing it and stuff like that. So I feel like parents need to be like better influences on some of the kids.
Can you all just name one strong Black woman that influenced you right now or just coming up?
Queen Latifah.
Queen Latifah, okay.
Yes.
Anybody else?
My mom.
Your mom?
My grandma.
Yes. She was yes.
I would say Alice and Felix.
You have a question, Miss Love?
Where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I see myself owning my own restaurant because I love to cook.
5 years from now, I see myself having my own lip gloss business because I want to do it, and I feel like I can do it.
5 years from now, I hope I would be in college 5 years from now. You know, I think I would be getting out of college by then, I believe, and, you know, helping people across the world.
5 years from now, I'll see myself in Penn State because that's where I want to go for college, and on a basketball team because I love basketball.
Good.
How can you be a leader in your community? Tell me one way you could be a leader in your community. Like, tell me something that you feel as though would look like leadership to you in your community or school.
Stand up for what's right. Like, don't sit down and be quiet. If you see something wrong, just say that it's wrong.
That's great.
Like she said, see something, say something. If you see that somebody's getting bullied or you see something that's not right or some type of injustice, you know, you need to do something about it.
I like that.
Speaking up for what you believe in.
Just like they just said, it's like, yeah, I can't really put it in words.
So I know this might be a little different. So this question is for Miss Love and Miss Ortiz. How do your work impact the youth? Can you just go into a little detail, Miss Love?
Significantly. It's very important, not just me, but any adult that is working with the youth. There's a significant impact. It's very important. It makes a difference in their lives. It actually encourages them to go further, especially when you're not a family member and you don't have a direct connection. It's extremely important for youth to know that they're supported and that they have someone by their side. And sometimes they need people other than mom and dad. They need an outlet. So it's extremely important and impactful. Very, very impactful.
Ms. Ortiz?
I would say to give them guidance and direction, to assist with their emotional and professional growth, to give them the exposure and experiences to help develop them as future leaders, to give them that one-on-one mentoring, that safe space, that they can have that go-to person, that they could feel safe and comfortable, and they can maintain that confidentiality, which is so important to youth today, to be able to open up and be themselves, to be accepted, to enhance their self-esteem, their self-confidence, their self-love, all of the above. And I think that is what's going to result in, successful future leaders of our young ladies. They had to have something to aspire, to, and having a role model that they can look up to, and, other females in the community, and even the men. The men play a major role in young ladies' lives. Just having those figures in front of them demonstrating what it looks like and not what they're learning from the streets will make a major difference to our young ladies.
Good. So I'm going to ask you young ladies, out of this conversation that we had today, what did you get out of it? What did you learn?
I learned that it's always important to be yourself and believe what you believe in.
I learned that you should always believe in yourself, get up and do what you have to do, and don't let yourself go, and don't let people try to take your life. And
Indeed. Yes.
I learned from all of you today that other people feel as strongly about certain topics as I do.
Absolutely.
I learned to follow your dreams.
Absolutely.
Any of y'all ladies have any other questions for the young ladies? No?
I would say if you what does your future look like in terms of what are your career goals? I know you said you wanted to be a chef. What is it that you would like to be when you grow up to be? What would you want?
A basketball coach.
A basketball coach? Awesome. And what about you?
I would like to pursue a career in either, swimming or track specifically.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I would just like to have my own business.
Okay. Entrepreneurship.
What? Go ahead.
So I'm curious, if you had the opportunity to have conversations with adults, what's one thing that you would say to the adults right now?
One thing that I would say to an adult is what can you do to impact your child's life?
I'm not sure.
To the adults, I would I would just tell them I'm speaking for all children when I tell them that we're trying. We're trying.
Stop and listen to your kids, because parents like to assume that your kid is doing bad. They stuck up in their rooms because they don't want to talk to you. Sometimes we don't want to talk to you because some parents don't listen. Like, y'all assume that we don't want to do this or we don't want to do that. We're probably going through something. Like, some kids go through depression. That's why they don't want to talk to their parents, because some parents don't understand.
Is it more that the parent doesn't understand, or do you feel as though it's not the safest place for you because that is your parent and you may feel judged or you don't feel comfortable? But if you had a mentor, someone that you felt like you could, as a big sister, look up to and kind of share, would that help you be more expressive of yourself?
Some parents judge their kids. Like some parents really judge their kids. They be like, oh, my daughter can't grow up like that, or my son can't grow up like that. So yeah, I feel like you need to go to like a safe place. Some kids don't feel safe talking to their parents.
Like you said, I feel like there are certain kids who they just don't try to talk to their parents. There are some who like are actually going through things and they need help outside of their parents, but there are also kids who just don't want to go to other people.
I'd just like to thank all the youth panelists for participating in this Women's History Month, the power of black women. This has been brought to you by Mill Creek Community Partnership. We embrace fatherhood, PC Radio Live, and Black Voters Matter. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. You did a great job. Thank you. What do you